Okay, good evening, and welcome to the Carver Conservation Commission meeting for Wednesday, May 5th, 2021. Our first order of business is 201 Tremont Street wall construction. I see that was continued to our next meeting on the 19th. And I think we have to have some kind of recommendations.
For when they come back, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna work on what they're gonna, how to do to.
Okay,
solve
and we can offer suggestions as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
We need to move for a continuation.
No, it's already continued. I think we had
It's
planned on
Last
for
meeting for
that.
two meetings.
Yeah,
Next up is 134 Main Street follow-up.
yeah, I mean, we went back and we didn't see that he had done, that anything else had been done since the first time we went.
Right.
And then he called me back, because he knew that we came that day, and, said he, didn't really have any plans to do anything else.
All right, but he still has to come in, because we asked him to come in,
Right, yes,
so we have to have him come in
Yeah.
to tell us what he was going to do to rectify what he had done earlier.
Right, yeah.
Okay? Third is the Bunny's Road complaint.
That was the one that we went and looked at, the construction debris that was piled, right next to the wetland. I talked to the, Darlene Whittemore, the owners of the property. She said it wasn't construction debris, that it was aluminum siding that was sitting there waiting to be picked up for recycling, and that they've been doing this for years. And so I just mentioned to her that the stuff, the stuff that we saw underneath the tarp, I mean, that looks like that had been sitting there for a long time. So she was saying, oh, this is all new and it's waiting, for somebody to come recycle it. I said, well, either way, we need to remove it because it's in the well.
Did she say when it was going to be picked up?
She didn't say no. But I think we should have her move all of that stuff, just move it all out of there. Even the stuff that was underneath the tarp, because there was stuff underneath the tarps, remember?
Yes, what I was kind of getting at is that if she can tell us when the aluminum siding is going to be picked up for recycling, to go back after that happens and see what's still there.
Oh, all right, okay. I'll email her again.
All right? Because that also has to be cleaned up.
Yeah.
And we really can't let her do it in the future.
Right, no.
It doesn't.
And actually, the person who did file the first complaint, got back to me and said, oh, did you give her a timeline, and I said, no, we didn't really, but now I'll call and tell her. Yeah.
Should we possibly give her, say that has to be picked up within 4 weeks or so?
Well, we can do that. I think that you should call her first and see if she knows when it's going to be picked up.
Okay, I mean, we could
And
have her
then-
come in to the next meeting and talk to us and see if there's another place they can put it.
I think that you should try to contact her between now and the next meeting and see if
Okay.
she has a date where it's going to be picked up.
Okay,
And we can talk about it at the next meeting, and if she doesn't have a date, we can then ask her to come in the
Okay.
first meeting in June. All right? It was a lot of stuff, and a lot of it wasn't new.
right.
I mean, there was a wheelbarrow there that had to be
Right.
10 years old.
But some of that stuff that was kind of falling, it was right into the,
Yeah.
into the well.
Right. All right, next up, 38 Bunny's Road.
Yeah, I had a call for a gentleman who lives at 38 Money's Road. He has a dead tree, sort of like between his house and the pond. And it's kind of up on the upper edge of the beach. And what he wanted to do is he wanted to know if somebody could come and cut it off and if he could make a bird bath out of it. I said, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as long as he leaves the trunk, the stump, and the roots.
That's what he wants to do. He wants to put the bird bath in the trunk. I thought it was cute.
Yep.
Whatever. Anyway.
Okay, that's fine. 61 Crystal Lake Drive, another request for tree cutting.
Another bird bath?
No. Oh, this is one, 61 Crystal Lake, I have to think. She has a tree to the left side of her house that's dead. It's definitely dead. And it's kind of going towards her house, so I said, have them
Okay.
come, yep. Then the tree people actually told her to call me. So I talked to them, said it was fine.
Okay, very good. Alan, may I have just one copy of that? I just want to read that before we vote on it. Thank you. All right, next up is a vote on acceptance of a quitclaim deed for 44 Lakeview Street, followed by membership signatures. What we'll do is we'll vote now and we'll sign it at the end of the meeting after we've done all our other business, because we got a big agenda tonight. So basically, this is just a document that we have to sign as the Conservation Commission. And this is what the acceptance says. The Town of Carver, acting by and through its Conservation Commission, pursuant to the provisions of General Law C-40 8C, hereby accepts the foregoing quitclaim deed for property located at 44 Lakeview Street on this 5th day of May, 2021. And then we all have to, all 5 of us have to sign it. And then we're going to leave it with the town administrator in his office this evening. It will have to be notarized tomorrow, and will be given to our lawyers on Friday, which is the closing date for this property. So I will entertain.
It's all going to the lawyers tomorrow. So, but they'll have it for Friday, because they got to get the paperwork prepared in order to do
Katie
the
said she
funds
was going to pick it up
transfer.
Friday morning. Anyway, I'll accept a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. All right. It's been moved and seconded to approve the acceptance of the quitclaim deed for 44 Lakeview Street. All those in favor say aye.
All right?
Any opposed? None. All right, passed unanimously. All right, next up, 196 Tremont Street, minor modification.
This is the solar? The solar one, this is the solar project, you know, Pine Ridge looks out over the bogs towards that.
Across the street?
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
right.
It's out in the, yeah.
you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Oh, Tina was here.
Good evening, Commissioners. Dean Smith from Borrego Solar.
Can you pull that microphone in?
Sure.
Is that on, Franny?
I don't think that's on. No. Check the
Yep, we're doing a test here.
Is that better?
Yes.
That one's working.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. Dean Smith from Borrego Solar. And I'm here tonight. We have our solar site over off of Tremont Street that's under construction right now. And we had done some geotechnical investigation of the site prior to construction, but we weren't expecting that groundwater elevations were going to vary as much as they do with the agricultural use in the bogs. So I'll show you where the project is. This is Tremont Street here, Hanbury Road. And our project sits directly adjacent to the bogs to the east of Tremont Street. So earlier this year, they were flooding the bogs as they do periodically over the course of the year. And the groundwater elevations on our site came up very quickly. The sandy soils obviously infiltrate those groundwaters very readily, but I wasn't expecting it to be the effect that we saw there. And it's much higher than any of the geotechnical results that we had seen before. So we've got to deal with that high groundwater condition for our construction. So what we're proposing is to install sort of a French drain system in the central part of the site. It was designed to capture all the runoff in the central part of the site and then have that infiltrate into the ground. So we've got a French drain system with perforated pipe proposed in there, and then one outfall pipe that will lead across to the ditch at the bog. Obviously, during those periods when the bogs are elevated, we're not going to get infiltration into the site, so that French drain system will provide some storage and keep the water from ponding on the surface. It was designed for total infiltration before. With the outfall pipe that we've got proposed now, we're still way under the pre-development discharges. It also is connected to the bog system, which is a closed drainage system that's managed by the grower. So they raise and lower water elevations in the bogs as necessary over the course of the year. So we need this to take care of the construction situation that we're in right now. We would like to make it a permanent improvement for those times when the bogs are raised over the course of the year as well.
So this doesn't, hello? This doesn't affect the, the layout of the panels or the,
No.
Work within the buffer zone or anything like that. This is already work that was going to be done, but they just need to alleviate the, the problem that they've.
Correct. We haven't made any changes in the footprint of the solar arrays or the position of those.
So it's not something, it's not something I don't think it would require an amended order because it's not, like say, changing anything within your jurisdiction. It's just a construction.
So the drainage pipe is the solid line running north-south,
Yes. Mhm.
and it has a little jog in the middle?
It has a jog around the equipment area that's sort of central
Yeah,
to the site.
okay. And then just south of that is where the pipe goes under the bog and under the bog road into the adjacent bog, correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
It will discharge. It'll be a structure that's similar to the other flume structures that are in the bogs. So we specified the same kind of structure for that outfall.
All right. You're not touching the big rock, are you?
We are not touching that balancing rock.
Can
No.
You can't move it when they can't be moved.
Well, then I'm good. All right, anyone else have any questions? No? Do we need a motion, I guess? Doesn't hurt.
You could, I could just do a motion for a minor
And
modification.
I'd suggest we sign a copy of this and make this part of the file.
Right.
Yeah,
All right, so
sign that.
I'll entertain a motion
Okay.
to accept the minor modifications.
I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve minor modifications for 196 Tremont Street. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Approved 5-0.
Okay, and then
you
I'll
wanna
just add that, I'll add the revised plan to it, to the.
Okay, and it'll all be reflected on our record drawings when we come in for our certificate of
Right,
compliance
right.
as well.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Okay, thank you,
You want
Dave.
to sign yours and pass it?
Yeah.
You want me to sign mine and send it your way? What do you
No,
want?
I'll sign it.
As long as we end up with one signed back at, and you can put it in as
Yeah.
part of the file.
Yep.
Yeah, along the top there.
We love signing stuff.
Okay. We'll read the minutes later. New hearings. They're not in the order in which we saw them.
Oh, they are?
No.
Oh, they are, you're right. Fuller Street.
40 Fuller Street, NOISE 126-619. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw that a public hearing will be held at 7:15 p.m. on Wednesday, May 5th, 2021, in Meeting Room 1 at Carver Town Hall to hear the notice of intent submitted by Fuller Street Carver Solar LLC for the construction of a 5-megawatt conventional solar energy facility. This array will be located within upland cranberry bogs and partially within the 100-foot buffer zone to bank and the 65-foot buffer zone to vegetated wetlands, requiring a variance under the bylaw. Thank you, sir.
Good evening. Sarah Stearns from Beals and Thomas, representing the project at 40 Fuller Street. Thank you all for participating in a site visit earlier today. I think we covered a lot of what is proposed on this project, and I'm glad you're able to see it firsthand. So as the chairman noted, this is a conventional solar project proposed on 2 pieces of upland bogs on the property to be known as 40 Fuller Street with access off of Fuller Street. The reason that we are here tonight with the commission is to request an order of conditions for the work proposed within the 100-foot buffer, state mandated 100-foot buffer, and the local 65-foot buffer zone related to the adjacent wetland bogs on the property. As we noted in the field, there are some naturally occurring bordering vegetated wetlands adjacent to the cranberry operation. Those are not part of the project. There's no work proposed within those adjacent naturally occurring wooded wetlands. So just wanted to point that out for the record. The area is, the solar area is located within the upland portions of the bogs as reflected in the ORAD that was issued for this site last year. And that was part of the submission as well. Happy to take any questions. I know we were able to discuss some of the attributes of the project earlier today, but I'm happy to try to answer any additional questions that members may have, or any from the public as well.
Anybody, you have anything?
Just for the record, so that everybody knows, the commission was very happy to hear that the access to this bog is going to be through a easement access.
Deeded easement.
Deeded
Yep.
easement on another piece of property, so that the way this is currently laid out, without that easement, if the owner of the other property said, I'm putting a fence up and you can't come on my land anymore to get to yours, the only way you could have done it would have been from Forest Street. And you can't do it from Forest Street because that's all soaking wet. So you can't put a road in there to get to it. So this eliminated, that was an issue when this came up before us a long time ago, because it had frontage on Forest Street that can never be used for anything. So with the deeded easement and access, this now establishes in perpetuity the owner of this bog can get to his property no matter what. So I was thrilled to have you tell me that today, because that eliminates a potential neighborly squabble down the road. So I have no issue with this project. It looked really good from the site visit from my standpoint. I just wanted that little comment made on the record, because I know there were some residents that were concerned about that frontage piece that was on Forest Street.
Anybody else? Mr. Badger?
Also, just for the record, just for our collective concerns with abutters on Forest Street, there's a line of red maple that, to be clear, there's. Do you have the distance in terms of the from the line of the project limit to that area roughly? I mean, I can look at the scale here, but.
Yeah, I do have a little exhibit actually that shows some site distances that we had actually prepared for our discussion with the planning board, just to enumerate that we were meeting the 200-foot setback under the zoning regs, but I can show you this too, Dan, to see if this answers your question.
Please, thank you.
This is generally, I think we're referring to some
Yep.
ones up here, so it's over 320 feet
Okay.
from the edge of the.
And I know we discussed this in the site visit, but just for the record, I wanted to make that part clear as well. Thank you.
All right, anybody else? I have two things just that I want to put on the record. Number one, when we were out there today on the site visit, there was discussion about the drainage ditch on the southern edge of the northern bog. And there was some indecision as to what would be happening with that. So I just want to make sure that when a decision is made on what is going to go there, or how that's going to be rectified, that, any kind of revised plans get to Brooke. I'm not sure that anything's going to require another meeting with us, but that, when that's finalized, that happens. And the other, the other thing is, I know that on the plan of the northern array, on the eastern side, you do indicate where the fence is, but I understand also that there's going to be a dike being
Yes.
added there.
Correct.
And I think that should be, when it's decided exactly how wide it's going to be and where exactly it's going to go, that be added to the plans as well. So we have a complete record of everything that's going to be done.
Sure.
Those are my only two.
Is that something that can be captured in the as-built, or is that something that should be submitted to the commission?
I think it can be in the as-built.
Okay.
I mean, it's really not going to change anything much. I just want to
Right.
have a complete set of plans when everything is said and done for the future,
Okay.
when it's not us and not you, perhaps.
Yeah, it might still be us, you never know.
Might still be you.
You know why we're doing that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As we all know, work done on and around the cranberry bogs for agricultural purposes tends not to be drawn out formally on a plan. So that's the reason why I ask. We can certainly easily capture it in an as-built once it's complete.
Yeah,
But
I think that's fine.
I don't see the grower drawing up a CAD plan for the to
Right.
install the dike is all I'm
Right.
saying. He's going to do it, as he sees fit on his bog
Yes,
to
and
make sure.
that was made clear when he was
Yeah.
kind of thinking out loud. as
Yes,
looking at
exactly.
it, and I'm
As the
fine with
business
that.
goes.
I'm fine with that.
Great.
But I just think that it should be captured at some point, and the as-built is fine.
Perfect. I'll make a note of that.
Okay.
All right.
Public comment?
There's somebody here.
Public comments, anyone here on this particular project? Fuller Street? No? All right.
Make a motion to close the hearing for 40 Fuller Street, NOI SE 126619.
Second?
All right, it's been moved and seconded to close the hearing on 40 Fuller Street, 126619. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right,
Any opposed? Hearing none, approved unanimously. All right, I'll entertain a motion to,
make a motion, we approve the NOI as drawn on the plan for 40 Fuller Street, NOI SE 126619, revised per town comments dated March 26, 2021.
Second?
all right, hold on, I just want to look at one thing.
You all sign that?
Well, yeah, we'll all sign this one.
Okay,
Are the dates consistent?
no, that's what I was just checking.
But the
But we can,
cover,
we can.
but the
we can-
cover is, and we're gonna sign every
We'll
copy,
sign the
so
cover. Yeah, there's some other.
that gives us our reference.
Okay.
Yeah, there might be a couple different dates on them.
Yeah, this one is February 9th.
If you look up further up in the title block, there's a list of revised dates that
So
should
the last one
match.
should be the 26th, then.
Oh, I see. 326, okay, revised for town comments. All right.
I think that's the one that I put in the order.
We're
Oh,
good.
okay, and then, okay, there's another one here that wasn't included, and it looks like the first one that was done was on March 30th,
Yeah, I put the.
initial issue. Okay, that's
the
fine.
Final revision date is
All
March
right.
26th. Right?
All right, so it's been moved
Yes,
and
March 26th.
seconded to approve the NOI for the plans dated revised March 26. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? All right, I will now entertain a motion to grant the variance.
Also move.
All right, it's been moved. Do I have a second? It's been moved and second to grant the variance for work in the 65-foot buffer zone. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. All right, approved unanimously.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
that is done. All right, next up. 204 Plymouth Street, NOI SC 126-621. We actually have to wait a minute or two
Yeah, that's
for
good.
7:30.
Oh, okay.
We got writer's cramp coming here for this.
All right?
I'll get the order back to you so I don't lose it. So nobody hoards it.
Just leave that order right where it is.
In the meantime, has everyone, we might as well, if we can, approve the minutes. Has everyone read the minutes?
I dated it, and I put the SE number on the front, on the DOT number, so we got, the DEP number, so we got
Okay.
that. Huh? Hold on, do you want to do minutes?
Yeah, and I want to get the other one back to this, so that nobody hoards it.
I read the minutes, I'm good with them, so whenever anyone wants to make that motion.
Sign the front page, initial the next, please. Has everyone read the minutes now?
Make a motion to approve the minutes for the meeting of April 21st, 2021 as written.
Second?
I know, yeah, me too.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of April 21st. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Approved unanimously. All right. It is now 7:29.
Yeah, let's just hold on, let Jim
What?
get through that pile and,
Yeah, did you get the order back? I don't want to lose it.
It's
making its
following
way.
the plans.
All right, I don't, I don't want to lose it.
I don't want to start loading up too much here because I don't want it to get misplaced.
Too many pages here.
Okay, it is 7:30.
Go ahead, start reading.
All right. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw that a public hearing will be held at 7:30 PM on Wednesday, May 5th, 2021, in Meeting Room 1 at Carver Town Hall to hear the notice of intent submitted by NW Plymouth Street Solar, LLC, for the construction of a 6.2 megawatt conventional solar energy facility. This array will be located within upland cranberry bogs and partially within the 100-foot and 65-foot buffer zone to vegetated wetlands, requiring a variance under the bylaw. And this is 204 Plymouth Street, SE 126-621. Sarah.
Good evening again. For the record, Sarah Stearns with Beals and Thomas, representing this proposed solar project at 204, or what will be known as 204 Plymouth Street, with access proposed from the existing bog road with frontage along Plymouth Street. So very similarly to the project we just discussed, this is a conventional solar array proposed on upland bogs that were determined through an ORAD issued by the commission and then amended earlier this year. Again, very similarly, this is
It's on its way.
This is conventional that would retire the bogs beneath and includes equipment pads with battery storage, underground utilities interconnecting with the utility line at the street. And related to the variance request, again, it's for work proposed within the 65-foot and 100-foot buffer zone associated with the adjacent wetland cranberry bogs on site. There are areas of BBW and IBW adjacent to the bog area themselves, but no work is proposed in any naturally occurring wooded vegetated wetland. Excuse me. So the arrays have been relegated to the upland portions of the bog only. And we have worked very closely with the cranberry grower, the landowner, to lay this out in a manner that would not hinder the operation of the remaining active bogs. He has been a large part of the conversation. We really like to try to work with the growers throughout this design process to make sure that these uses can, continue to be operated in a manner that doesn't impact either or. So that's really all there is to it. I'm happy to try to answer questions that the commission may have. But again, just, this is a way to utilize existing open space in coordination with the grower, really to help keep the remaining acreage of bogs in production.
Does anyone have any comments?
Sorry, today I think it's fine.
Issues? Questions?
You had no questions, it looked good to me. Sitting right next to a set of solar panels that are already there anyway. It's not gonna have any further impact on much of anything in the area.
Oops.
Yeah, this is the drawing, that's all signed. So that goes with that other.
Yep.
I should note too that this project has not been reviewed yet by the planning board. We are scheduled for our first hearing on May 25th, I believe. And the stormwater report and associated drainage calculations that were submitted with this NOI package was also submitted with the planning board. So as per, typically done in Carver through the site plan special permit review process, Fuss and O'Neill is currently reviewing that stormwater report and will provide us with comments. And so we'll go back and forth if they have any requested edits, and we'll take care of that in terms of the drainage stuff. I'd be happy to copy the commission through Brooke on updated stormwater report for the file if you would like to.
Perfect.
And the access is from further east on Plymouth Street, not where we went in today, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
right here.
Okay.
And it's a legitimate access. The first part of it is paved, it's gated. The reason I didn't pick that spot for us to meet, because it's very easy to drive by without knowing it's there. Our meeting spot over by the track was a little bit more open, but yeah, it's, the landowners use it all the time with their trucks for harvest, and it's a legitimate access point. It also, eliminates having to drive truck traffic behind the stretch of residential neighbors
Right.
along Plymouth Street, so.
And that's all nicely wooded, so I don't think anyone's gonna have an issue with that either.
Yeah, for the most part, there's a pretty good buffer there.
Yeah, there is.
I know the landowner has spoken with the neighbors. They're all in very close contact, so, they'll all be notified of the planning board hearing. So anything related to screening or setbacks, I think will be addressed in that process.
Okay. As you may recall, I was a little late today, so I didn't really get.
Oh, I didn't notice.
I walked
We
it the
weren't
first
gonna
time.
tell anybody if
I
you
walked
did.
it the first time when we were,
first time
when we were
ever.
there, and I'm very familiar with the layout, so.
Could've just said that Brooke sent us to the wrong address and you got lost.
Brooks sent us to the wrong address. Okay, no, I'm fine with this.
Already got that on record.
All right, if no one has here from the board has any questions, or is anybody here from the audience? Yes. Hi, how are you?
I'm on the houses that are adjacent to the bog.
Could you come up here, please, sir, and just speak into the microphone and make sure you've signed in?
I was just, do I sign in now or afterwards?
Whatever's convenient.
Whenever.
All right.
Yeah.
I just curious on what we're looking at. Obviously, we bought our homes because of the view. We don't want to look at solar panels, but, I mean, is there ways of putting up arborvitae's or something to block the look of the?
Can you just tell me your name and which house?
Yeah, Mark Rocha, number 216 Plymouth Street.
Okay. Okay, first, so you're right here.
Yeah,
So just, if the commission can see, just for your own reference, I don't know if everyone can see this. So this home, you know, I don't know what the view is from your home, sir, but,
it's straight out, it's the whole
the
block.
whole lot.
Yeah,
So unfortunately, this commission is here to talk about wetlands issues.
Right.
But, we will be planning to talk about, you know, visual impacts and screening
Okay.
requirements with the planning board. And that meeting is scheduled for May 25th.
okay.
Just so you know, so you can, you know.
I got the letter to be at this meeting,
You'll-
so,
You'll
yeah.
get that one next.
Okay.
Certainly. And I think that, you know, that forum is where we'll be talking about that.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've spoken to Mr. Weston yet?
Yeah, I know Eric,
Okay.
yeah. And I was just concerned about the trees in back too that
Yeah.
blocked the noise from the racetrack. I was hoping nothing was gonna be done with them.
Yeah, so, I mean, we're not, you know, this is the layout here on these pieces of bog. There's nothing proposed over here. And what the planning board will do is they'll do a site visit and, you know, we'll go out with Eric and myself and, you know, look at it from the rear of your properties and kind of talk about what makes the most sense for any kind of visual screening.
Right, yeah.
So we'll all work together on that.
Okay,
And I don't mean to.
No, you're,
Yeah, no, you're right, though. That's
you're
not-
spot on.
Yeah.
It's
You're
not
spot
our-
on.
I want to do it in the right forum.
I didn't know I was at the right meeting. When you were
I know.
talking, I'm saying, this isn't the meeting they're gonna talk about it, so I'll
I
be,
mean,
you
it's
know.
good that you came.
Yeah.
It's always good to be informed. This commission just has a much narrower purview. of
Yeah,
it.
I understand.
So, May 25th is, you know, we'll get all that information out, and we're happy to continue talking with you about it. And like I said, we'll bring the planning board out there, and they'll weigh in, and we'll work together to figure out what's gonna work best from your
All right, great.
property.
Okay,
Good?
But according to today's visit, there was no indication of any tree cutting. There was no need to. Everything was, from where this is all gonna happen, everything that's got trees is up on the hill, so to speak. In fact, I even commented about how well shielded it was.
yeah. The
But,
previous owner cut a lot of them down, you know, I don't mind the racetrack at all, but it doubled the noise. It was-
Sure.
A lot of the neighbors did complain, so the
Sure.
last trees that are there are, about, you know.
Yeah, and just for the record, Eric is going to take some of the trees down along part of the slope.
That's at the other side, though, it's not,
No, not near the neighbors, though.
It's
Right.
down here.
Right,
adjacent.
right, we knew that, that was at the other end, but
Yeah.
that wasn't out, I was talking about what was pretty much in their backyard.
That's right, and that's the plan. I just wanted to make sure we're, you know, everybody's.
Yeah, we're on,
transparent.
no, you're right,
And that's something that he had planned to do before he considered solar. He just wanted to open that area up really more for circulation and shade control on the bogs. So that's something that was in the works anyway, but, you know, just in case you see someone cutting trees down out there,
Right.
that's separate from this, but, yeah, so, you know, we're certainly happy to talk about that.
Okay.
further, Later on this month when we get into that. the
All
nitty-gritty
right, that'll be the
of that.
right meeting to come.
yeah, that's the
All right.
venue, that's the
Okay.
venue for all the nuts and bolts
Yep.
of the project. This is the frogs and water and the planning.
As I
board,
listened, I
really.
realized I'm not, this
Right,
isn't the
that's the
one to
nuts
be
and
at,
bolts.
yep, so,
Well, it's good to come and experience.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Anybody else?
Anyone else on this project?
Make a motion, we close the hearing for 204 Plymouth Street, NOI SE 126621.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to close the hearing on 204 Plymouth Street, 126621. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it's approved unanimously.
Make a motion, we approve the plan as drawn for 204 Plymouth Street, NOI SE 126621, issued for permitting April 14th, 2021.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the NOI for 204 Plymouth Street, 126621, based on the plans issued for permitting on April 14th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Approved unanimously. Now we need a motion on issuing the variance for this project.
Let Jim do it.
Jim, you want to issue the,
Okay.
make a motion?
So move.
All right. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right.
I'll peg.
It's been moved and seconded to grant the variance for work within the 65-foot buffer under the Carver bylaw and per the order of conditions that you're going to let us know about. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. All right, so order of conditions?
You want me to send this down? I was just gonna keep it folded up and we'll just pick the first
Yeah.
part of that, make it easy.
You're gonna sign a sheet
Yeah,
on that one, yeah.
this one. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Just checking.
Order of conditions? Any?
Yeah, there's still not, I don't usually put a lot of special conditions on these, but,
Nothing outside
Yeah.
the normal, right?
I don't think there was anything pressing, was there?
controls and things like that, but,
Okay.
yep. Especially if it's on the upland bog.
All right.
I'll give you that to sign, yeah,
Hey, give me that, I'll send that down right now.
Going to sign.
Oh, I should sign it. That's close enough.
That's a good idea. It is. What I do,
Right,
is signed by
is
you
attached.
also.
Right.
You know, it's the approved plan, but it's also the one that's signed.
Right. Then we're not confused over how we're reading it and what the interpretation
Yeah.
is. Thank you.
Yep. And it has the right date on it and everything.
There you go.
Okay.
7:45, you're okay.
Yeah, I've got a minute. Less than a minute. Oh, right now.
There it is.
Good timing. All right, 370 Tremont Street. And we don't have a EPA number yet.
Yep, no.
Didn't come in this afternoon? No? Okay.
There was confusion with one of the checks.
Yeah, the filing fee at
Nobody
the
get a
state
hold of
hasn't
it.
cleared
All right.
yet.
Okay, well, we can deal with that later.
Yeah.
Notice is hereby given in accordance with the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw that a public hearing will be held at 7:45 on Wednesday, May 5th, 2021, in Meeting Room 1 at Carver Town Hall to hear the notice of intent submitted by BERE LLC for the construction of a 3-megawatt agricultural dual-use solar energy facility. This array will be located in previously disturbed bordering lands subject to flooding, bordering vegetated wetlands, BVW/cranberry bogs, riverfront area, and the 100-foot and 65-foot buffer zone, requiring a variance under the bylaw.
Good evening.
You got artwork?
For the record, Sarah Stearns with Beals and Thomas, and with me is Ian Ward from New England Consulting, representing the project at the Meredith property to be known as 370 Tremont Street in Carver and Wareham. This is a little bit different from the projects we have talked about earlier tonight, in that it is a proposed dual-use project, meaning that a solar array is proposed on the existing cranberry bogs, both wetland and upland, and the bogs will be continued to be farmed, in addition to the solar panels being installed on the bogs themselves at an increased height to allow for continued cultivation, increased height and spacing to allow for continued cultivation. The panels are proposed to include a single access tracker, as we discussed on our site visit, which essentially follows the sun throughout the day, and generating renewable energy. I'll just switch my page here. I forgot to change this. So as we discussed in our site visit, the majority of this project, as shown in the plans, is located in the town of Wareham. It's about 28 acres of panels in Wareham and approximately 6 acres of panels in Carver, just to give you a sense of how the town line divides the project across the two municipalities. Access, electrical interconnection, et cetera, is all on the Wareham side of the town. So really, this is a piece of the property in Carver that's set back from the street, and panels and the adjacent and appurtenant equipment pads are proposed in previously disturbed areas. So the reason for the NOI is that even though we are working in agricultural land that's currently being farmed or roads associated with, there are some overlaid resource areas pertaining to the Wetlands Protection Act and the Carver bylaw. So in our application, we have included calculations that show the amount of work proposed in BBW, which is the bogs themselves, bordering land subject to flooding, since almost the entire site is in the floodplain associated with the Weweantic River, as well as riverfront area associated with the river. What's actually proposed in riverfront area is a very small square footage. It's 110 square feet, which is, again, in the existing roadway and just at the edge of the bog closest to the river in Carver. We have requested a variance for work within the 65-foot local buffer zone, but it's really just to kind of include the work associated with the equipment pads that are so close to the bog. We're also working in the bogs themselves, so it seems a little bit counterintuitive to also request the variance, but we just wanted to make sure that we kind of covered all of the bases with what we were requesting. A project like this is a little bit different in terms of permitting because normally we wouldn't have impacts in the resource area itself, but again, because it's the managed agricultural BBW, it's a little bit different. So I just wanted to kind of run through that and explain it to the board and also publicly. So we looked at the areas where the equipment pads are proposed, and it's just off of the existing roads in a sandy area. We talked about the addition of a fence on the exterior edge of the existing bog roads, and just continuing to work with the landowner and Ian related to making sure that the agricultural component of this is really the primary focus before the solar installation. And that way we were able to really lay the solar panels out in a way that allowed for the continued cultivation with harvest areas and access to specific areas of the bog, and allowing that to continue as unimpeded as possible. So that's been very helpful. And, supported by the state, this is the type of project that will help keep farms like this going, and in commercial production. So that's really the goal for this. The way we tabulated impacts in the bog themselves is similar to what we've done in the past, where we have conservatively estimated the number of posts that we'll need based on this panel layout. So we've taken, the circumference of the largest post that we think we would need to use and just multiplied that by the number of posts that we anticipate being needed for this footprint. So that's how we arrived at the BBW impact number. And then the only other thing I really just wanted to touch on is that for work within BLSF, we are proposing compensatory flood mitigation per the requirement. And that's also in a previously disturbed area. So, we're not proposing any tree clearing for anything like that. It's really just a grading exercise to make sure that we meet the regulatory criteria for flood storage. I don't anticipate that this type of project would negatively impact flood storage over a site like this, since we're working within cranberry bogs and they inherently provide excellent flood storage that can be held as necessary and released as necessary. But again, just in order to meet the letter of the regulatory criteria, we did include that in the program as well. Anything else? I think that covers it, but certainly if I've missed anything, please ask, and we'll be happy to try to answer any questions that you may have. And as the chairman pointed out, we have not been assigned a DEP file number. I did speak with someone at DEP today, and they're just waiting for the filing fee to clear. So not uncommon. There's no one really manning the lockbox in Boston at the moment, so fees do tend to languish there, unfortunately. If the commission would consider it, we would respectfully request that if the commission is planning to potentially close the hearing, we would ask that you close contingent upon the issuance of a file number, considering it's an administrative delay. And we saw a family of geese out there, which was kind of cool.
Does anyone have any questions, comments? Dan?
Hi. So where the two existing pads are, up in that area, there's going to be a fence and a gate put in at that northern end of the whole project.
Up here?
Yep. For access, is there going to be any development or improvements or widening of the existing access road?
We're not planning on doing that. We did ask Jesse Boyle from Carver Fire to go out and make sure that the roads met the fire department criteria, which tends to be our starting point anyway. If the fire department feels that it's sufficient and the growers use it for their big berry trucks, they tend to be sufficient. On this site in particular, and now that you've seen it, you'll know the property, including the roads, have been meticulously maintained, more so than many other sites that we've all been to.
Right.
So for now, we're not planning any proposed improvements to the road. If there are areas where there needs to be some gravel added, if they're soft, or slight widening on tight turns, things like that, that can certainly be accommodated. But for now, we're not planning on that. And the equipment pads will be fenced with locked gates, and Carver Fire, actually Carver and Wareham Fire, will have lock boxes there for access, and access from the roads and at the equipment pads in case of emergency.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything?
Oh, I should add too, one of the other things that we talked about today, worth mentioning, related to fencing, is that Ian and I have been working with the applicant to come up with a fence that meets security criteria, but also allows for better wildlife passage. And we've included the detail for something like that in our plan set. So that's what we're hoping to do out there. If a fence is required, which we do think it will be based on Wareham's bylaws. So we're trying to find the best way to do that allows for continued wildlife passage, but also doesn't further constrain the grower for the ag operations. So that has been included in the package as well.
Yeah, we noticed your notation on that. Thank you.
What did they call that fence, Ian?
It's woven wire.
What is it?
Woven wire.
Oh, okay.
It's like a 4x4, 4x6.
So it leaves a big
6-inch
hole,
actually,
like
yeah.
bigger
Yeah.
hole.
I got it, that's what keeps the goats in for me, so
Yeah,
same thing.
yeah.
and then all the little stuff can get through it.
Right.
I think the project's a great idea. I like the fact that if it gets fenced, it is going to be fenced in such a way that you still can harvest, so you only got to go through one fence, and then it's like there is no fence. And obviously, it has to be, I understand the counterintuitive, it has to be different than what we're used to, because we're in an area that when this is done, we're still going to grow cranberries. So it's to the developer's benefit and the owner's benefit to take extreme care of the bog as they're doing this project, so they don't have to put back in what they destroy. So I think that this is a great idea. I'm really happy to see how this is I'm excited to see how this turns out. You know, I'm hoping that this is gonna be as good as we've all been promised it will be by the powers that be, much smarter than we are. But the jury is still out. Although I understand cows can graze underneath these panels. Is that right, Jim? Can we have cows grazing underneath these dual-use panels out in the western part of the state?
Yes, that's out of the western one.
We're gonna have some here too?
Yeah.
Yes.
We like cows.
We know we got geese and we got little geese.
Babies?
I'm good, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, the fence is between the solar array and the gravel road?
No,
The fence is proposed in the exterior
Right.
of the bog road. Now, this plan, actually, I was just checking,
It shows it the other
the
way.
astute chairman pointed out, there is a later iteration of this plan, which I will submit through Brooke, that shows the fence has been moved to the outside, and it actually includes all of the bogs, including those that don't have panels proposed, so it's the
Okay.
entirety of the
I
site.
thought that's what you had said when we were out
Yes.
there today, and I was looking at this saying that
Yeah.
they don't meet.
Yep, you're absolutely right. We made that change after we had submitted this by way of our continued review with Wareham, which was last week, I guess, yeah. So I'd be happy to make sure we get the latest plan set to Brooke.
Okay. I just have one other question, and it's just more out of curiosity than anything. On page C4-2 or .2, in the lower left-hand corner where you have your battery storage, you also have a harvesting area that seems to be very close to that. And I just, I was curious as to how that happens.
so the battery storage would be up on a pad.
Yeah, but still, it's only about 10 or 12 feet away from what they're indicating as the harvesting area. And
That's where they're
I've
gonna be
seen-
floating berries, right?
well, I've seen harvesting before. It's pretty spread out.
So another astute observation. So the dike that that we would be harvesting from is on the northerly side. It's on the
Okay.
riverside. It's on the
All
riverside.
right.
So that, just by way of how this is configured, they take, like, most of these they have a corner. So
Yep.
the half circle is drawn on the corner.
Yep.
But that dike is actually that's not the best place to have the trucks. It's the other dike that's on the other side.
Okay. I understand what you're saying, and actually, my question, the question that I asked kind of goes away because I was basing my question on the fact that the fence is where it is.
Yep.
And the fence is going to move.
Yes.
Right,
So
the
that-
fence is gonna be pushed out.
So my second question becomes moot.
Yep. Thank you for pointing that out, Savory.
Is the entire project 3 megawatts? Or is that just what's in Carver?
That's the entire project.
About how much is in Carver, do you know? Well, it's 30%, right? About?
Roughly.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. All right. That's all I wanted to just check on.
So this is the part where Sarah's going to hate me. I think we should approve this, but I don't like the fact that we don't have the drawing we need to have, and we don't have a DEP number.
Right, and what I'd like to do is also ask if there are people out here who are here about this particular hearing, because we've heard from, no?
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Okay, all right.
So that's, when are you going before planning?
We have actually been approved by the planning board on this project.
And you've still got to go to Wareham?
We've been approved by Wareham Planning Board as well. We do need to go to Wareham Conservation Commission still.
Do you know when that is?
We have not filed yet, but
Oh, that's right, you said
it's
that.
imminent, but yeah, it hasn't been.
So
Issue.
would it be a terrible inconvenience if could we get the current plans
Yeah.
and a DEP number for our next meeting,
Of course.
Which is the 19th.
which is the 19th?
Yep.
Only because you know exactly, I have no problem with this. I have
Right.
no problem with saying you get it to us and signing off on it, and you know my next statement.
Yep,
It's the next 5 guys,
yep, it's no problem.
and that's my issue.
I mean, he could close it and then, based on.
I have no problem with closing it and then continuing it.
We wouldn't close it then.
Well, then we're gonna leave it open.
Okay.
Let's-
I'm not gonna approve it till we have everything we need to have.
Yeah, I agree. So
Next one's
I'll,
19th.
Do you mind? Sarah, is that okay?
Of course.
Well, you're 2 out of 3.
Do I have a choice?
Well, you can argue, you're 2 out of 3 tonight.
No, that's absolutely appropriate.
Not everybody gets 2 okey-dokies in a row.
I know.
And you probably don't even need to come to that. I mean, if it's basically just getting the file number and you giving me the revised plans. you
It's-
really
That's,
need to-
that's
It's,
it.
it's totally fine. It's not inconvenient at all for me to come.
Right.
So I will make sure to get you the latest revision of the plan.
Okay.
That shows the fence in its proper location, our last minute change. I didn't want to submit a new plan before we opened the hearing, so, and it had sort of slipped my mind actually that we had made that change because it's
Perfect.
mostly just due to Wareham's request and the fact that we also just included that in Carver. So we'll make sure to get that to you and pray to DEP to get that file number issued. We'll just have to chase down that check, I guess, so that's always an adventure.
can you put the geese in the new plan?
Yeah, yeah.
So I'd like to
Lisa
make,
Gosling?
like to make a motion that we continue 370 Tremont Street, NOI SE 126 to be determined,
Second?
to the 19th, the May
Wednesday,
19th
May
meeting.
19th.
Okay,
All right, and a second. All right, it's been moved and seconded to continue to May 19th for 370 Tremont. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right,
Any opposed? None. Approved unanimously.
Thank you.
thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think for the record, you're not gonna have any problem when this, on the 19th, just that it's the formality of signing off on the right stuff.
Yeah, I totally understand.
Yeah, because we've got to sign all those pages. So
Yeah.
we'd have to do it anyway
Yep.
another time, so.
Okey dokies out of 3.
I'll take it.
Hey, she got 2 out of 3 tonight. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you, sir.
And you're out of here at 8.
I know.
Wow.
All right,
Just in time for the next one.
next up.
RDA.
Here? Oh, he is. Oh, good.
Yes. An RDA for Lot 5 Ewell Street. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act and the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw that a public hearing will be held at 8:00 p.m. on Wednesday, May 5th, 2021, in Meeting Room 1 at the Carver Town Hall to hear the request for determination of applicability, RDA filed by K&G Development Corp., to determine C, whether the work depicted in the reference plan is subject to the Wetlands Protection Act, and D, whether the area and/or work depicted on the reference plan is subject to the jurisdiction of any municipal wetlands ordinance or bylaw of the town of Carver. The request is for the installation and construction of a well located approximately 79 feet and tree clearing within 100 feet of resource area bordering vegetated wetland, BVW. The property is located at Ewell Street, Lot 5, Assessor's Map Plate 30-10-SE, South Carver, Massachusetts. All interested parties are invited to attend. Hello.
Good evening. Kevin Grady from Grady Consulting, representing the applicant, for the record. As you read into the opening, the project's for the construction, it's an RDA for the construction of a well associated with a single-family dwelling on Ewell Street.
We only got 2. Send it down.
The well, as you indicated, is proposed 79 feet from the bordering vegetated wetland.
We've already seen lot 1 and lot 8, right?
We did go out today, we unfortunately didn't have the plan with us, but we came back and looked at it and kind of figured out
And pieced it
how
together.
far back it was. We were not far enough back, but
A
anyway.
lot of brambles.
Yeah.
This is the circle, right? I know. We already did this already.
So the house and the septic system and other utilities are located outside the buffer zone. The location of the well was chosen to provide setbacks to the septic systems on the locust property as well as the abutting properties. This layout, including the well, also mimicked the subdivision plan that was approved. Basically is the same layout, and location, et cetera. This was brought to me to cover this meeting today. And I asked why the well's in the buffer zone, and Rob explained that the septic systems on the abutting lots prohibit us from moving it out. So that's why we have it proposed where it is. We're proposing a construction trail and small excavation to get to the well, install it, and install the water line connection. So it's temporary access, and then we'll, the main yard is outside the buffer zone. So I'll be happy to take any questions if you have them.
How wide is this gonna be?
I think that's gotta be about 12 feet to get in there.
And they're gonna maintain that clearing?
I don't think they really will. You could condition it, I guess, to wood chip it and let it go natural, but who wants to mow that? It's just a little,
Yeah, right, that's what I mean.
yeah.
Do they need it to get down to the well at some point? Like, if
It'd
they-
Well,
be nice to have-
if the well goes bad,
Right, that's what I was thinking,
Yeah,
yeah.
you just clear it again.
Yeah, I don't think you'll have, you don't want large trees, but
no. I mean, it's not gonna be in our lifetime, they're gonna need to replace the plumbing underground, it's,
It was the ones like that Jamie Emerson did, remember he kept the chip
Yeah,
on it?
yeah.
yeah,
the one on-
they
on
can
Wenham.
chip it or something like that.
Yep.
I don't see it's an issue. It's outside the 65, it's a little bit inside the 100. And then the main backyard is out of the 100 completely, so,
No, it's not.
thought it was.
No.
There's a,
there is a small, that's right too, there is a small area near the deck, that's about 25 feet inside the buffer zone, so maybe it's 30. It's a little closer to, that's right, it's a 65, so it's about 25 feet.
Oh, okay.
What Brooke and I were thinking was from this point, just paralleling this so it comes across to you.
The purpose of that is obviously to, remove any large trees overhanging the dwelling for
One from the back,
safety and maintenance purposes,
parallel with the house. To
and also to create some sort of a yard, but
Just help you.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there were a couple of other lots. One adjacent was, there was a little bit more cutting than we had hoped for when we first went out there.
All right, Savory has a plan.
Well, no, we went out and looked at it today, and as I said, there are a lot of brambles. And I did a lot of high stepping, I guess you would call it. And then we came back, as Brooke mentioned, when we did look at the plans. And we were just wondering if it would be possible, I'm gonna just come over and show you what Brooke and I kind of thought about retreat. And if
because we did
we
that,
take
remember on the
this
other lot?
point
We had them
and
save a little more of
run
a
this
buffer.
parallel with the back of the
A
house
smaller yard.
to the 100-foot and then across. It gives a little bit more.
I have no issue with that.
Okay. I think that's what
I think we did that on 5, didn't we do that? I
We
think
did something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I think we had them give us back like a little bit of a larger buffer, having, as opposed to having it all be lawn.
Yep.
So it still gives you about almost 30 feet. So.
Yep.
just-
They have a decent yard to the north.
Yeah, and
east.
just to the 100-foot, and then picking up the 100-foot and going across to where your cut line, your tree line is, further to the east.
Do you want to draw on that one and sign that one?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna do.
make sure it's approximate and have him sign it too.
Yeah.
If it turns out this doesn't work, just let us know,
Yeah.
come back and let us know.
It was
Thank
just
you.
the thought that we had to, try to protect a little bit more.
That triangle, I agree, it doesn't gain them a lot, but
Right.
Yeah, but it protects the 100-foot.
And it's within the 100, so it's not as big a deal if it was in the 65, but
understood.
that's why I say if it becomes an issue or if it's a problem, when reality sets in and you start building and this isn't gonna work, just let us know.
Will do, thank you, appreciate that.
Yeah. So we just have you initial this, and again, it's just. Sure, it's only a call, and that's it. Great, thank you very much.
Yep.
All right, who's-
You
who's
wanna,
first?
yeah, you sign, we gotta close the hearing and
Yeah, okay.
do the okey-dokeys
Yep.
for it, right?
Yep, I read that. It's fine. All right, so I'll entertain a motion.
Is anybody else?
Is anybody here for this? No?
Motion to close the hearing for Lot 5 Ewell Street.
So moved.
You made the motion, you second?
Second.
All right, so moved and second to close the hearing on Lot 5 Ewell Street. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And then we need to issue a negative determination
Motion to issue a
Yeah,
negative
and then you just
determination.
add that you
with,
changed.
based on revised plans.
I'm getting there.
Yep,
For Lot 5 Ewell Street. You see the plan? Based on the plan as revised and agreed upon by the parties, dated,
5-5 was the revision.
well, this says April 7th, 2021. Is that,
We just, okay.
this says April 7th, 2021.
Right, but the revised plan is the one we just signed with the change of the,
Yeah, so the initial date is April 7th, and then the revision date's today.
Yeah.
Latest revision.
so you can say that.
On the plan dated April 7th and revised May 5th.
and signed by you.
All right.
Yep. As amended on the drawing, it shows the revisions. So.
Right. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. It's been moved and seconded to have a negative determination on the RDA based on plans drawn on April 7th and revised on May 5th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and then I'll add that, I'll add, like an attachment to the
Yeah.
determination.
All right.
Keep the chair then.
You can stay.
Okay. Is that it in this one?
That's it.
What do we got next?
157 North Main.
Okay.
Okay, got some revised plans for you. In a report from John Zimmer. Here's the plan. You already saw that one, Ellen, yes? And then this is just a letter from the wetland consultant.
There's a letter on top, so there are two things, the letter and the plans.
Okay.
So take one of the letter.
And pass them on.
You have another one of these, Brooke?
Shoot,
No?
no.
Do you have another
Letter
copy of the
from
plan? No?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna,
Let me give this to Nash.
Oh, okay.
think we need a person to walk around
Before you
with
lose it.
papers and sign individually.
One of those bank vacuum sheets.
Vacuum machine.
And here's- yeah.
Oh, good.
Set for each of you.
Yeah.
Separated over here, thank you. This is the Eagle Street plan.
Okay. Continued hearings, 157 North Main Street, DEP SE 126618. I don't have to read all that because it's continued.
Right.
Okay. Hello again.
Good evening again. Kevin Grady, Grady Consulting, representing the applicant. We had a meeting a few weeks ago regarding the application for the proposed commercial structure and associated work within the 100-foot buffer zone. The commission expressed hesitation on the initial layout. During the meeting, the commission indicated they would like us to take a look at reducing the amount of impacts, in particular impervious coverage within the 100-foot buffer zone, and particularly as it was close to the 65-foot no disturb zone. As we indicated at that meeting, they were willing to take another look at it. We also had meetings with the departments for technical review. And at that time, we had an opportunity to speak with the fire chief about access issues. One of the main discussion points at our meeting was that we had an access drive around the back of the building, and we had indicated that that was for fire access. In our experience, on commercial developments like this, the fire department typically likes to get around the back of the building and be able to access all sides. We had already sketched this current concept up and discussed it with the fire chief, and he had no issue with access the way we had this configured. So what we wound up doing is we eliminated the parking lot area behind the building. We moved the building 6 feet closer to the existing building at 157. That allowed us to maintain a 24-foot wide access aisle. Again, fire safety, separation between buildings. We reduced the southern parking lot a bit as we moved that with the building. The impervious coverage in the 100-foot buffer zone due to this change was a reduction of 2,500 square feet. The total impervious coverage in the buffer zone reduction of 4,500 square feet. We also modified the planting behind the building and around the drainage basin to, instead of being a lawn type mix, we are going with a New England conservation mix. It provides stabilization. It's low maintenance, only needs to be maintained a couple times a year, and it provides wildflowers and additional habitat value. We had omitted the floor drain detail from the plan, so we added that to the plan, and we adjusted the stormwater management calculations to go along with the reduction in impervious area. The other thing we did was widen the entrance, or the front driveway in front of the building. I believe initially it was 14 or 16 feet and it was a one-way. We eliminated the planting island that's required planting on the foundation wall. We'll be asking for a waiver from that from the planning board, but that allowed us to provide a 20-foot access aisle for the emergency access and also maneuvering small trucks through there. It also allowed us to keep the landscape screening in the front of the building as a required 20-foot landscape screening. So we heard the commission's comments and we tried to address them and also meet the requirements of the landowner at the same time, and I think we did a pretty good job moving stuff away from the wetlands. We have more than a 65-foot setback. The building's 80 feet from the BVW. And I think the project meets the wetlands protection regulations as well as the Town of Carver wetlands bylaw. Additionally, we had South River Environmental, who did the wetland delineation, take a look at the project for us, and they provided additional information detailing how the project does, in their opinion, conform to the Wetlands Protection Act and the local bylaw. And I'll be happy to take any questions.
Does anyone have any comments on this? Dan?
Good evening. Based on a couple previous conversations and, based on the last hearing, I know we had talked about the square footage of the size of the building coming into the 100-foot buffer, as well as the parking, which I don't know if I need specs now, but it seems that the parking somehow got bigger on the southern portion, south of the new proposed building. And so in terms of some of the comments that we did make, I'm not really, other than the access being changed to the front from the back, the size of the building and the impact of that structure hasn't changed in any way. Is that correct?
The building was moved to the, trying to find my note there, to the north or the left as you're placing it, as you're looking at it from the bottom of the page. We did not reduce the square footage of the building for financial reasons and also logistical purposes for the client. He really needs to have 5,000 square feet. We are outside the 65-foot, and we are mitigating the roof runoff with the stormwater management, providing infiltration, providing pre-treatment, etc. So, long answer, short answer is we didn't reduce the size of the building.
So I noticed also that the runoff system you have there is also cutting inside the 100 as well.
The drainage basin?
Yeah.
Yes.
So which leads me to wonder how much that's really going to, especially on certain times of the year, how much volume that's going to be able to accept based on how full it's already going to be, I guess is my point on that.
So the basin is about a foot into grade, and then it projects 2¼ feet above grade. So there is, so it's fairly shallow. It needs to be elongated to provide that volume. Unfortunately, otherwise we need to bring in more fill to bring the basin walls up to reduce the square footage.
Yeah, I mean, I do appreciate that you did shift the building slightly north, but in terms of the main concerns I have, and again, just because of the size of this, I was just trying to do a quick math of square footage of impact. We still have, looks like, still almost 700 some odd square feet of building into the 100, over 800 square feet of parking into the 100, and then, again, I'm not really convinced that this drainage basin is going to really do anything other than, I'm not sure that it's, in order for it to do what you want it to do based on the size of the building you have, it would have to be deeper, and then if you did that, then you'd be impacting a bigger area that I'm not sure that I could support.
So the drainage system is designed to do a few things. It's designed to collect the water and then let it go at the same or reduced rate of the pre-development. It's also required to have a component of infiltration to replace the infiltration that's lost by the impervious. So it's designed to do those two things. And again, where it's elongated and spread out over a larger area, we can get infiltration and also volume. And then it's outlet controlled by the outlet control structure. I
No, I mean, I get how it works and why it works the way it does. I guess the reason why you're having to create it, though, is that you're creating the need, not that the need existed.
Correct.
So that's
Yeah.
kind of a big difference from our perspective. Is
Yep.
that's all I
Yeah,
had.
yeah, I echo Dan. I think he's 100% right. You know, as I said at the last meeting, I've driven past this property for many years. It is wet. And you're adding, it was not developed for many years because of that reason, because it was wetlands and there was such a small area that would have been allowable. And now you've added 2 more buildings. The second one is dramatically larger than the first. So you're adding a great deal of weight that is going to be pushing down on this property, expelling more of the water because the weight will do it. Your parking lot, you have trucks that are parked there, again, more weight. And as Dan said, yes, you've provided something for runoff, but where's the runoff going to go? It's going to go right back into the wetlands. So we're going to have more wet and less places for it to be absorbed. And you are within the 100 feet, which we have the 100-foot buffer zone for a very good reason. And we certainly don't want to discourage businesses, but the wetlands are very important, and it's important to the neighbors that live around it.
I think in a previous meeting, I had asked if the building has to be shaped the way it was, if it couldn't be shaped maybe perhaps in an L shape to cut out that 100-foot buffer, and if there were any alternative ways of creating parking or turnaround points for the trucks. But again, this is a self-created problem.
I know I mean, the applicant owns the land, has certain development rights. He's trying to implement them, and he does have respect for the resource areas, and he's made some adjustments. We have looked at alternatives for access, and we are basically an L shape. If you look at the overall plan, the way it is, offset from the wetlands as much as possible to accommodate his needs to expand his business.
Yeah, no, I had used some suggestions in terms of looking at maybe not that I know that business, but in terms of thinking of phrases like economy of effort and maybe a different use of space to achieve the business's needs. But again, that part's kind of not our problem. Our problem is protecting this resource, and again, it's going into the resource in my estimation unnecessarily, and in an aggressive way that we only can guess, but based on what I'm seeing and based on the topography we know on previous sites, that it's not going to produce the results that you're wanting as best as your efforts have been. I appreciate that, but unfortunately, the topography and the wetlands are against you in this case. Not so much us, but the geography is against you, not.
Yep.
And the geography was there when he purchased the property, so he
Yeah.
was well aware of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Anyone else?
Oh, yeah.
Jim? Nothing?
No, I think it's been said.
Mr. Jermaine?
Thank you. You're being very polite, Dan. Peg's 100% right. This was a residential piece of property, or somebody living in that house. And this was every hoop they could jump through to build the first building. And now suddenly we're trying to squeeze in the corner as much as we can and push this right to the envelope. It's soaking wet back there. It's part of the aquifer. It's on the verge of should never have been allowed in the first place. But the fact that it was, and we had the impression that this is going to make everybody happy. So now we're trying to stick something else on, and my question becomes, so we approve this, and do they come back next year and want a second story? Because suddenly they need 15,000 square feet. If they needed 10,000 square feet to start with, they should have found a bigger lot. Not one where they have to jump through hoops and perform magic. If they want a bigger building, tear down the house and build a bigger commercial building. This is where you're asking this commission to throw out way too many rules. There's too much in the 100. It's soaking wet. I can think of 97 reasons why it's a bad idea, and honestly and truly, and as much as I'm in favor of commercial development, and I'm, again, the easiest guy on this board, so when I sit back and say, this doesn't look good to me, it's probably because they're already a no way in hell situation, and I'm trying to talk them off the ledge. But when I come in and see this stuff, this is just pushing your luck. That's what I see. I see an owner of a piece of property, and I think it comes from not just him, but the previous owner of the property, and I think that, you know, we're going to push this right to the very edge. We're going to completely disregard the abutter who's been there for 100 years. He knows what that property is like. He knows how soaking wet that property gets. I'm well aware of the fact that there's commercial development across the street. That, again, is not this board's problem. The fact that this guy wants to expand his business, I guess my question becomes, seriously, what happens when he needs 20,000 square feet and this gets sold to a trucking company? Because commercial use is commercial use. So there's got to be a point in time somewhere along the line here, and please, members of the board, correct me if I'm wrong, that we have to sit back and say, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
We're willing to work with you, but we're going to take this right to the very edge of every single rule and everything that we believe in as a board to accommodate something that we know down deep inside is a bad idea to start with. So please correct me if I'm wrong in that viewpoint.
No, it's a dangerous precedent to set.
And I was going to say that, you know, nothing about any of this I have any particular feelings on, other than the fact that we all took an oath to follow a set of bylaws, and it doesn't fit. That's all. And as I said, it's the geography and the bylaws. Those things two together, from my perspective, ends up being a solid no. And that's why I had thrown out, I think you know, previous suggestions of, well, does he need that much square footage? You know, it's not. I was trying to work toward a slow yes than a quick no, but you're telling me his needs are what they are. Well, unfortunately, our duty is what it is. So.
Understood.
Yep. Okay.
I appreciate that.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'd like to say that I'm quite disappointed in these maps because they're so small that it's almost impossible to get clear information from them. I'd like a full-size sheet map so that I can read the numbers, where the 100-foot line is, the 65-foot line, so on and so forth.
No problem, I can produce that.
Yeah, that's my fault, I didn't ask for big ones. I thought you usually like the small ones.
We like the smaller ones,
I thought you
only if you bring us a magnifying glass.
Yeah. Or maybe a microscope.
There you go.
did. But then the big ones is like awkward.
But we'll live with at least we can see, you know? What do you think there, Mr. Chairman? You might as well chime in.
Well,
You can be the good guy tonight.
I mean, they did make some changes.
I applaud the effort. I mean, it's a change, but
This is why he's the chairman and I'm not.
I agree with the rest of the board. I don't think it went far enough. I look at an awful lot of pavement still. I'm wondering if some of that were impervious. You know, keeping the footprint of it, but not having it be pavement within the 100 feet or maybe just offsetting something with something else. For instance, on between the 4 parking spaces to the south of the existing building, plus the access road to the gravel. If those parking spaces and the access to the existing gravel road behind that building were all gravel, that would reduce some of the footprint.
I like the one on the far right to be all gravel.
I was getting there.
Okay,
I go north to south.
I'm sorry.
All right. Mr. Badger's point about the size of the building, I understand that 50,000 square, or 5,000 square feet was not a dimension arrived at without thought. But it does put almost 700 square feet of the building within the 100 foot. And then, as Mr. Badger said, almost another 800 and maybe even more of pavement to the south of that, a corner of that is in the 100 foot. So there's an awful lot that's still within 100 foot of a very, very wet and uneven terrain that does have dry spots and wet spots. And one of my questions is, in the new building, you have a dashed line that goes, I guess, east to west, about 3/4 of the way to the south of the building on that plan. What does that
I
indicate?
don't have the architectural plan with me, but my recollection is that's a partition. I don't know how necessary that is. You have the garage doors on the end.
So it's a
as well,
partition between the end doors and
And
the
the-
end bay
and
and
the rear doors.
okay.
I was gonna ask about that too. I was wondering if, to the south of that, if that's where you could erase. square
That's what I was
footage.
thinking,
Yeah.
is that where you
I didn't know
stop
if
the
that was an
building?
alternative back wall or something, but.
Is that where you stop the building? And either
Yeah.
put the bays there or eliminate the 2 bays on the south side,
Yeah.
or the 2 doors. But just, and that would reduce the footprint of the, it would reduce the size of the building, obviously, but it would also reduce the footprint of the building itself in the 100 foot. And then go with impervious surfaces on the 2 areas where there are just parking spaces, which would gain you some impervious surface outside the 100 foot in both parking areas, which could offset some of the paved surfaces that are within the 100 foot.
I have a smaller plan, say, with that petition, and to the one to the south is 4 interior spaces. That's what it says.
Yes, no, I see that.
Yeah, oh, okay.
Yeah, I see that,
Yeah,
4
the
interior
dotted line,
parking
okay.
spaces. But, you know, my thought is, you know, maybe in order to get something, you have to give up something. So I'm wondering if that could be an option. A smaller building, cut the building off where the dotted line is now, and then move the paved area, the same amount of the paved area to the south, move that north, the same amount of the reduction of the width of the length of the building, and then put all 6 of those parking spaces on the south end, and the 5 parking spaces and the access to behind the other building on the east side, making them impervious, which again would reduce your footprint of pavement within the 100 feet, and also reduce your structure within the 100 feet. I don't know if that's something that your client would entertain or be able to live with.
So I think I followed most of that. My
Okay.
client isn't here to
Right.
run that by, so I'll request a continuance, and whatever other ideas you guys might have, I will discuss one more time
Okay.
with him, and then we'll close the hearing and make a decision at the next hearing,
Mr. Chairman,
if that's okay.
I would certainly entertain leaving the building the size that it is, because he most likely will need that square footage, and just eliminate the pavement. I'm confused as to why you want so many parking spaces and so much pavement. Is he planning on renting this space out to a different business, and he needs to have parking spaces to accommodate that, or is this gonna be part of his oh dear pest control system? What are his future plans with this building?
My understanding is it's for the oh dear, but to answer your question on the parking is, it's based on the square footage of the building, no matter what the use.
So that could be all gravel,
Yeah, that could be gravel.
and we'd have no worries with asphalt. So that would be, you could give a little bit on the 100-foot for the building and eliminate all of the asphalt, with the exception of the patch that's out front, that's out on Main Street. But to the right of the drawing and in the back, make that all gravel. It'd be an impervious surface, roll it out, whether you use a gravel mix or a crushed concrete or a reground asphalt, it becomes permeable.
Right, and that would offset the size of the building.
So that would help to offset that infringement in the 100. Something like that, I think that we'd be a little more amicable toward.
Well, I was going halfway in that direction, but I
Well, I'm thinking from a business standpoint, if I needed a 5,000 square foot building, 4,000 is not gonna help me. Now I need 4,000 in a tent.
right, and I think
Do
that
you know what I mean? And I don't wanna see somebody start putting containers down there and structures that require no permitting, i.e. a cover-it that's big enough with some concrete cylinder blocks like you have some of these places use for salt storage, because they have to have some more interior space.
Right.
So I'd rather have it be permitted the way we can do this than have someone try to skirt around it by putting up stuff that requires no intervention.
Okay, I understand that.
Good point.
So that would be another alternative. If the client deems that he needs the 5,000 square feet, then we would probably want to look at eliminating almost all of the pavement and making it impervious, with the exception of the two-way street in front of the new building?
Yeah,
Is that what
except of what's right out on Main Street. I don't see that being an issue, but, you know, to the right and to the left, that could be just a really well-rolled-out gravel. I know it's a pain in the neck to plow, but
He's got equipment in.
exactly, I mean,
Yeah.
there are times when, you know, I think this is less impactful, that's all. I think this causes issues for, again, what I said to Sarah earlier tonight, that the next 5 guys. And that's what our concern is, and I'm trying to be respectful of the abutters. You know, the Nashes have been there when there was nothing. There was nothing across the street, there was nothing next door, there was nothing anywhere, and they were there. So I'm trying to have some respect for that also, because I would want the same respect.
Understood.
All right, so,
Just to mitigate any, too much more back and forth and making you, making you chase your tail.
Yep.
From my perspective, the 100-foot buffer is there for a reason, and this particular 100-foot buffer, I've questioned since the first time I saw it, which is, I'm not allowed to have an opinion on that now because it's already a moot point. Where the 100-foot buffer was designated is my point. Anything that would go into that 100-foot buffer, to me is all self-imposed work. In terms of self-imposed need and self-imposed hardship, and all from our perspective of what we look at, I'm not seeing a hardship that could otherwise been avoided. So, we've talked about, cutting this building in half so that, the corner of that building does, stays just inside that 100-foot. That's a possibility. I think we've put out some suggestions that, I'm not sure have necessarily been heard. I know that the owner has their needs, and to Savory's point, to the chair's point, the square footage was thought through, and that's apparently what they need. But, there are other commercial properties. So,
Understood.
thank you.
Thank you.
and I think that it was established not only with this building, but when we had the first one a few years ago, that most of the equipment that O'Deere has is relatively lightweight. So I don't see that impervious surfaces being as big of an issue
No.
as it would be with larger, heavier trucks. So, all right, so some things to think about.
Yeah, request a continuance to revisit this with the
I'd like to hear
applicant.
from Mr. Nash before we
Yes,
continue.
we'll do that. All right. Mr. Nash?
I'll be happy to make that motion to continue, but I think Mr. Nash deserves a moment.
Gentlemen, conservation, I know, we have big farms in Maine, I took the course myself too. I mean, this is, the biggest problem I got is very simple, and it's very aggravating. Their parking lot beside the house where he's parking his trucks, the water drains to the left and curves to the other side. We have got more damage in that trees now, you would not believe it, you gotta see it to believe it. I wish you could come down. Dan, could you just stop down? Now we get trees that are dying because they've affected the ecosystem. It's unbelievable. And you talk about stumps, gentlemen, I'm only 5'7", but I have stumps right now. The pine trees have gone right over. They've been there for 40, 50 solid years because now they're all sitting in their water after they've dug the field, they've packed it down with the steamrollers. They've affected my entire area. And Leah knows, to the right-hand side, I swear the Catholic Bible, it's a nightmare. David's a good man. I have no problem with David. But please fix the old system first, because this corner here, we're getting hammered. We're getting hammered. And I don't know what more I can say to you. I was told the other day, this kind of shocked the crap out of me, Mike, if one of those trees hit your house, your insurance is void because you know there's a problem, you haven't solved it. Now I'm trying to solve it here and now. I'm not a lawyer, gentlemen. But conservation, I know. We have 400 acres in Maine of dairy cows. Please help us. That's all I ask. Please help us. I run your farmer's market. Dan knows me. I'm a fair guy, but I'm asking you for your help. That's all I can say. Please.
I'd like to make a motion, we continue this and include another site visit.
Come see me, please, to me.
I'll second that.
All right. It's been moved and seconded.
Do you want to do the 19th? Kevin?
Well, we can, yeah, we
And then we can
can,
do a site visit.
I'd like to continue this. Can you be ready in 2 weeks, or do you want to put this off a month?
Our next one after that is June
Second.
2nd. It's either May 19th or June 2nd.
If
2 weeks or
do the
4.
19th,
Okay.
it's a conversation, and it's It's not like I have to do applications.
No, what we're gonna have, I would like to have we'd have to have a chance to come out and see it again too. We wanna walk it.
Yeah, if we could do the 19th, if for some reason we can't get a site meeting in, I'll talk to my client. I know he's gonna ask me to do 2
Okay,
weeks.
all right, that's fine. We'll do the 19th. No, that's giving you the choice.
Right.
Yeah.
You want to do a site visit the
So we'll continue this to May 19th. We'll probably do the site visit the same day,
day of the,
the day of the hearing.
Can I just ask a question regarding the site visit? What is gonna be different than what we've
I
already?
wanna go talk to Mr. Nash.
Thank you,
That,
thank you.
that part I get, but. will
That's
there-
my only
will
reason
there-
for going.
will- I was wondering, will there be any, stakes indicative of this current plan?
We can
Well,
figure it out if you'd
We
like.
could
I'd
add,
like to have him
yes,
stake out his new proposed
That's what I'm
idea.
talking about, yeah.
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 right.
And we
Okay.
can view Mr. Nash's issues too at the same time.
We'll be at the nursery, we were working with you. If another scary factor is, their drainage water is like 30 feet from my leach pad. I mean, so far, everything's okay. That's close,
Yeah.
that's close.
maybe they have to revise the
So-
drainage system.
Well, that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see us go out and have a look at that issue and stake out, don't stake out where this one is, but stake out what you guys come up with for a Plan C.
I'll give you a stakeout plan.
Yeah, that'd be
You'll
good.
be able to see exactly what we're doing.
Thank you.
Listen, we're not trying to put the guy out of business. And I understand, and I'm sorry, I have to disagree when you talk about within the 100 and the size of the building and so forth. I get when you need what you need. I understand that. I suffer the same problem with my garages. I could just use a little bit more and I don't have it. So, but I don't want us to restrict it and then the owner goes to a different idea, because the bottom line is he needs to have what he needs to have, but he may not need to have asphalt. He may need to have 5,000 square feet, but he doesn't have to have asphalt and lined parking spaces. So if there's some give there,
Yeah,
Then-
it's compromise. It's give and
You know.
take. The impervious surface is
in a
important.
perfect world, I hate the idea, but, you know, if it was in the 65, no way in hell. But I think that we've granted some self-inflicted within the hundreds in the past, and I mean, a couple tonight. And, because that was self-inflicted from what they were trying to design, and we gave them the relief to build what they wanted to build. So, and this is out on Main Street, it's right across the street from a shopping center, so it's not like, you know, it's Maple Lane in the, you know what I mean?
No, but one of the big hydrological concerns, and a lot of it is outside our purview based on zones that we're allowed to evaluate from conservation, is that a lot of runoff creates a lot of this channeling effect that's being described here, and affects the hydrology of not just the abutters, but the abutters as well.
But where do you think all the parking lot water goes from across the street
Right.
and on Main Street?
Yeah.
You know, it all winds up in the same place,
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
It's like all the Pine Street water winds up in my backyard.
Yeah.
Well, now it gets piped out to my backyard, but it used to come through the driveway to get there. And you know, now that we put some drains in, but it still ends up where it was always going to go.
No, but, you know, if we're talking about, you know, properties that people buy commercially or residentially, I mean, I live in a spot where I've got two wetlands crisscrossing in terms of buffer zones where technically I can't really do anything else on my property because of where my house is located. Because I'm wedged between two wetlands and a spring. And, so there's not a whole lot I can do, and I could ask for variances and I could ask for hardships, but I also knew what I was buying, so.
All right.
Sort of, that's part of that too bad, so sad bylaw.
Okay. I just want to just state that we can certainly meet with you, Mr. Nash, when we're out there. But the issue that you're talking about is something separate from what this project is proposed.
I like to solve the original problem.
I understand that. I understand what you're saying, but,
That's the man they're talking about. Most of the road is underwater.
right.
That high below.
Well, what happens over here ends up over here too, so it's something that we still need to look at from an overall standpoint,
I'm not denying that.
so.
Yeah, to me, a lot of these issues end up being really a joint committee
Yes, I mean, it's something we have to think about when dealing with the project in front of us, but if we can't, without going through hoops, we can't backtrack on what's already been there.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll take another look at that area as well. This is the first time I heard there's rutting at that one point. We did talk about trees that had toppled at the last meeting that were behind the basin. I'll just check to make sure that it's being routed into the basin and not
Not
running around the
next
basin.
door.
That's what it sounds like,
Okay.
but I need to see it.
Yeah.
And I'd like big plans when we, on the 19th, so that Jim and I can have respect for the elderly guys on the committee.
Sorry. I like the little,
Let me explain, I've had to go through the course of many too. What has happened, you may will recall a leaching area for your water is a holding area. Now your water is seeping into the ground, which is going to the pine trees. Pine trees are very shallow rooted. Now they get the wind and they're sitting in the water, it just fall over my toothpicks. And that's what's going on.
And those pine trees have,
They've been there like 50,
Been-
60 years. They're alive, they're pretty-
they were in the center of a woodland prior to this construction, so now they're on the edge, so they
Yeah.
may have had some impact from
Winds,
winds, yep.
Yeah.
That they weren't
Well,
subject
because it
to.
was cleared.
and also, as you pointed out, which I think is a good point, that this, the building of the first building and the parking lot there coincided very closely with the building of the Tractor Supply parking lot across the street, which is a huge impervious area that sends
And it goes-
water
Sure.
down the hill
Goes
towards
that way.
58.
And where's it gonna go?
Yeah, so that, there's a lot of factors.
It's a
in
wind tunnel
place.
too, as you noticed with.
And it's a wind tunnel, that's, all that styrofoam ended up in the woods over there.
Yeah, we know that too.
those all Tractor Supply stuff.
That doesn't,
wasn't it?
right, and that doesn't help the trees either, so.
All right, so we have a motion to continue this until May 19th, including
have a
a
site
site visit
visit.
the morning of May 19th. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a
Jim
second.
seconded that,
Oh,
actually,
did
when I
Jim-
made the motion,
Jim
Jim
seconded it? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Sorry, Peg.
Okay.
Whatever.
It's been moved and seconded to continue this to May 19th with a site visit that morning. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None? All right, it's approved unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
we'll see you on the 19th.
Yep.
129 Center Street? Thank you.
Continue for ZBA, right?
Oh, yeah, still up.
Yeah, it's still,
Continued?
Wenham Road?
When,
I gotta find out about that. Nobody has contacted me.
Okay.
Actually, Sarah Stearns did, asked about the bog there.
We'll come look at it on the
Yeah.
19th, I'll take a
But-
look too.
So I don't know, if she's hearing somebody in,
Awesome.
so.
So we did minutes,
all right, now we
sign
have.
all of this, so we
now
can do a
have-
motion to adjourn.
All right, we're going to adjourn, then we're going to sign all the
We'll
papers.
sign all this paperwork. So I make a motion, we adjourn?
Second?
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're out.
We out?